Hey there, tonight we venture into the kind of place that leaves a quiet echo in your mind long after the sound is gone. A place where rust breathes, wood weeps, and even the rocks seem to listen. You're assigned to a night patrol. Nothing unusual, except this time it's in a mining town that hasn't had a living resident since cassette tapes were cutting edge. They say the last folks who lived here walked into the mine one morning and just never came back out. But hey, it's probably just small-town folklore, right? Well, you probably won't sleep well after this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Let me know where you're watching from and the local time. I love seeing who's listening in the dead of night. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's drift into tonight's dark tale together. You arrive just past 7:30 p.m., the tail end of a too-silent evening. The kind of silence that hums behind your ears like static. The air tastes metallic, and every crunch of gravel beneath your boots feels like a firecracker in church. Your cruiser idles on the outskirts of the town, if you can still call it that. A dozen crumbling buildings, a boarded-up gas station, and the shell of a post office. That's it. Officially, it's off the books. No one lives here. No one is allowed to. So naturally, you're the lucky one stuck with the rotating patrol. As the engine clicks to a stop, you glance at your logbook. Routine patrol, dust check. Sounds harmless, like a checklist item with no teeth. You stretch your arms and step out, flashlight in one hand, radio on your shoulder. Not that it'll help. Your phone dropped its signal 10 miles back, and the department-issued walkie sounds more like someone gargling gravel than actual communication. The air's weirdly still, not calm still. Even the insects seem to have called in sick. The buildings lean on each other like exhausted elders, warped wood and scorched tin roofs whispering age-old secrets to no one in particular. You glance around. The sun's gone. Twilight has teeth here. You start your walk through what used to be Main Street. Each footstep seems to trigger something unseen. A porch creaks 2 doors down. A window pane rattles despite no wind. You find yourself walking a little faster. You don't run, you're an officer after all, but your boots are definitely motivated. Your first checkpoint is the old general store. The glass is long gone, shards still in the sill like teeth in a rotting smile. You shine your flashlight across the shelves. Empty, save for a few unlabeled tins that look like they've been aging since Prohibition. Something in the far corner glints faintly. You move toward it. A badge. Rusted but unmistakable. Not from your department, though. It's stamped with the crest of a company that doesn't exist anymore. Salt Haven Mining Corp. You remember the briefing now. They had their own internal patrol, like a private police force. You pocket it, noting the chill that creeps into your glove the moment you touch the metal. Back outside, the sky's gotten darker, the kind of blue that wants to be black but isn't quite there yet. The clouds hang low like they're eavesdropping. You turn your collar up against the non-existent breeze. Remember that old urban legend, the one where they say if a town's zip code is decommissioned, the town starts unwriting itself. Well, this place doesn't even have a zip code anymore. There's a story that circles among old-timers at your precinct. Supposedly, one of the last families here disappeared overnight. Left the table set, beds made, a TV flickering static with no power source. The weird part, the entire family had matching birthmarks shaped like mining picks. You tried to Google it once. Got a black screen and your laptop froze. You chuckle softly to yourself. That's 2 jokes you've made internally in the last hour. One more and you get a loyalty punch card. The radio crackles suddenly, just a blip like someone breathing in to speak. But no voice follows. You wait, nothing. Unit 34 checking in from Salt Haven perimeter, you say into the mic. Silence. You head toward the last building on the left, a collapsed 2-story house. Rumor says it belonged to the mine foreman. The roof's mostly caved in, but the front porch is weirdly intact. As you step on it, the wooden boards groan beneath your weight, like a stomach digesting something heavy. You shine your light into the front hallway. There's writing on the wall, tiny carved lines, almost invisible. You lean in. It's a calendar or maybe a countdown. Hundreds of vertical hash marks all grouped in sets of 7, all scratched into the wood from inside the house. You reach out and run a finger along one set. It flakes under your touch like ash. That's when you hear it, a low hum. At first, you think it's tinnitus, or maybe a distant generator, but no, it's melodic, rhythmic, a single note rising and falling like someone humming in the next room. You raise your flashlight and step forward, but then you realize the humming is in your cruiser. You bolt outside. From the porch, your vehicle sits where you left it, lights off. No engine, but the driver's side door is open. You're certain you closed it. You approach slowly, flashlight raised, the hum growing louder, now layered with a slow, steady breathing. You peek into the back seat, empty, but the flashlight flickers, and in that half-second stutter, you swear the seatbelt is buckled around nothing. Then it's not. Your breath fogs in the air, though it's not cold. Experts still wonder whether intense atmospheric changes, like those found near abandoned mining sites, can trigger hallucinations, time distortions, or worse. You back away from the cruiser and decide, against every instinct, to continue the patrol on foot. You note the open door in your logbook, scribble likely wind as the cause. You don't believe it. You continue down what was once Ghost Mine Road. It's not labeled on any current map, but you spotted the rust-bitten street sign half buried under blackberry vines when you first arrived. Just beyond the general store, the road curves downhill slightly, following the edge of the old salt mine. You shine your flashlight ahead. It swallows the beam like fog, though the air is clear. The gravel beneath your boots crunches unusually loud, as if sound itself is trying to escape the ground. And then you notice it. The road is washed out about 50 feet ahead. The earth looks like it just gave up one day and slid into the hillside, carrying pavement and guardrail with it. You kneel to get a closer look and see something even stranger. The crumbling edge isn't fresh, but the collapse is unusually symmetrical, as if someone didn't want anyone getting past that exact point. Not naturally, not accidentally. No plants have grown in the crevice, no moss, just scorched rock and crumbled dirt. You move your flashlight over the perimeter and spot an old wooden sign, knocked over but not destroyed. Its paint has mostly peeled, but you can just make out the faded red letters. Do not return after sundown. That's not even the weird part. Beneath it, someone has carved a newer message into the post, messier, frantic, in all caps. The last shift never left. You pause there, kneeling in the dirt, realizing that this message couldn't have been more than a few years old. You doubt any teenagers would bother coming all the way out here just for a spooky prank. This place is a solid 90 minutes from the nearest gas station, and too forgotten to trend on social media. Standing, you pan your light across the hillside. The old mining elevator shaft is somewhere nearby, though it was officially sealed shut in the late 80s. Salt Haven's collapse was one of those incidents that didn't get headlines but still earned whispered warnings. Some say the mine collapsed because of old dynamite stored improperly. Others say the foreman, the same one who vanished with his family, triggered it deliberately after discovering something in the lower levels that wasn't supposed to be there. You keep walking, circling the washout by moving uphill through overgrown brush. It's a slow, cautious route. Stickers catch your pants and thorns grab at your sleeves like cold fingers. You're sweating a little now, even though the temperature hasn't changed. Something about this town seems to warp your internal compass. You feel like you're being watched but never caught. There's a whisper among police legends. Every precinct has them. Ghost towns where time folds. Dead loops, they call them. Places where a single patrol car disappears every few decades with no answers and no remains. Not enough for a real investigation, just enough to be passed along over lukewarm coffee and 2 late-night shifts. As you crest the hill, you spot a structure that wasn't marked on your briefing map. A small wooden shack with a rusted tin roof. It's completely out of place, newer construction, maybe a decade old, sitting perfectly intact amidst the rot. You hesitate before stepping forward. The windows are boarded. The door is padlocked but poorly. Someone's hammered wooden planks across the frame in a sloppy X, like they were more interested in keeping something in than out. You step closer and see the symbol painted in dark, flaking red on the door. It looks like a pickaxe, but split at the handle, forked like a serpent's tongue. Around it is a circle of crude marks. You take a photo with your phone out of habit, though you already know it probably won't save. Then from somewhere behind you, a soft clink. Metal on stone. You spin around, flashlight cutting across trees and rocks. Nothing. But the sound came again, closer this time. Clink. It's deliberate, like someone dragging something behind them. You step away from the shack and back down toward the road, heart thudding louder than your boots. The old warning sign is still there. The washout still yawns open, but you feel it now, clear as a punch. You're not alone anymore. You reach the cruiser, but this time you pause before getting in. The interior light flicks on automatically. The backseat is empty this time for sure, but something has been moved. Your logbook, which you always keep closed and clipped, is open to a new page. One word scrawled in shaky handwriting. Stay. And the pen, still warm in your pocket. You slowly sit in the driver's seat and close the door, checking every window. You don't remember writing it. That kind of thing is supposed to trigger a panic response, but weirdly it doesn't. Instead, there's this creeping numbness that's worse than fear, like your instincts are being muffled, smothered. You start the engine. The dashboard lights up, but the GPS refuses to boot, just a black screen. Your reflection stares back at you only, not quite. There's a slight delay between your movements and it's half a second, just enough to notice. You blink. The reflection does not. Experts still wonder whether isolation in ghost towns, especially those with a tragic past, can induce low-grade dissociation, even in experienced officers. You force your eyes off the screen, shift into reverse, and back out onto the road. You don't try to leave. Something tells you you're not meant to leave yet. Instead, you loop back toward the church at the far end of town. You haven't checked it yet, and your gut tells you that ignoring it is worse than facing it. As the cruiser rolls slowly past the general store again, you glance in the rearview mirror. The reflection caught up. But for just a flicker of a second, it was smiling. You leave the engine running this time. The church stands at the very end of Salt Haven's main drag, just past a sagging water tower and a line of warped fence posts that once separated the holy from the hopeless. It's a skeletal thing now. Its steeple collapsed decades ago, the roof gone in parts and the stained glass windows replaced by gaping holes. Still, something about it feels preserved, not in the sense of care but resistance. Like decay tried to settle in and was somehow pushed back. You climb the few steps to the porch and pause. There are no doors, not broken, not removed, just absent. The frame is intact, hinges rusted but still bolted, but whatever doors once stood there simply aren't there anymore. You shine your flashlight inside and hesitate. There's a chair in the middle of the chapel, and someone sitting in it. You freeze, then blink. Gone. Just an empty chair now, aged wood, legs uneven. You step inside, boots muffled by the warped floorboards which creak with each step like they're speaking a dialect of pain. The pulpit still stands at the far end, cracked but upright, a single beam of moonlight falling across it like a reluctant blessing. You sweep your light across the room. The pews are in pieces, torn apart and rearranged into a kind of spiral, an inward swirl all pointing toward the center of the room. The chair. Whoever or whatever sat there knew they were being watched, knew you'd come. There's writing on the pulpit. Again. This time it's not carved, it's painted in something thick and dark, nearly black. The letters are uneven, as if someone wrote them with a shaking hand. The earth will not forget their footsteps. You whisper it aloud without meaning to, and then the flashlight flickers again. You tap it, mildly annoyed. It's not the battery. You changed it before the shift, as always, but this flicker isn't random, it pulses. 1-2, pause, 1-2, a rhythm. And now you hear it again, breathing, this time closer. It's coming from behind the pulpit. You step forward slowly, every instinct screaming in lowercase letters, just loud enough to feel, not loud enough to run. You round the corner, empty. Just an old ladder descending beneath the pulpit into what looks like a dirt cellar. Of course it does. You crouch and shine your light down. The beam disappears into blackness after about 10 feet. You catch a glimpse of something that looks like canvas or cloth, maybe old supplies. Or maybe that breathing wasn't behind the pulpit but underneath it all along. You don't go down, not yet. Instead, you step back, trying to slow your pulse. You remind yourself of the facts. This town was evacuated after the collapse. No one's supposed to be here. Could be squatters, could be animals, could be. Your radio hisses again, a voice this time. But only 2 words, check cruiser. And then silence. You back away from the pulpit, slowly, carefully. The church seems to exhale as you leave, bored, sighing in protest or relief, you can't tell which. Outside, the air is thicker. A strange humidity hangs in the night now, even though you're in dry country. Your boots feel heavier. You jog, no shame now, back toward your cruiser. It's empty, lights off, engine still humming gently. But your driver's door is wide open again, and inside on the seat is a cassette tape. You didn't bring a tape. It's unlabeled, but someone has written a time on it in red ink. 12:00 a.m. You check your watch. 11:52 p.m. You sit tentatively and close the door. The tape slot on your cruiser's outdated radio hasn't worked in years. You push the tape in anyway. It clicks once, twice, then begins to play. It's static at first. Then something beneath it, breathing again, and a whisper, your name, not shouted, not screamed, just whispered once. Then the tape stops. It ejects itself. You stare down at it in your lap. Experts still wonder whether exposure to infrasonic frequencies, subaudible sounds generated by shifting earth or even specific architecture, can trigger deep dread, hallucinations, and sensations of being watched. You step out again, holding the tape, feeling its plastic shell vibrate ever so slightly in your hand like it's alive. Or remembering. The idea of the breathing ghost comes to mind, a local legend from an Appalachian coal town not too far from here. According to the story, miners would hear breath behind them in the dark, even when working alone. They said it was the mountain inhaling, preparing to collapse. Folklore, probably. But the breath behind your left ear right now, that feels very real. You whirl around, no one, but your flashlight beam catches something in the dirt beside your cruiser. Boot prints, not yours and not fresh either. They're old but newly revealed. Like the dust moved just enough to uncover them. They circle the vehicle once, then stop behind the driver's side door, right where you felt the breath. You step back into the cruiser, shut the door. Lock it, you stare at your reflection in the windshield again. It's smiling again, and now you are too. You sit in your cruiser a moment longer than you should, unwilling to move, unwilling to blink. The smile you didn't mean to make is gone now, but it left something behind, a ghost of a grin tugging at your cheekbones like invisible strings. You check your watch again. Midnight, right on time. The tape sits useless now, ejected and still. You resist the urge to snap it in half and toss it into the bushes. A part of you wonders, knows that if you did that it would simply appear again, in your glove box, on the seat, maybe in your pocket, and it might not be alone next time. You open the door. The church bell rings, a low metallic clang that rolls over the town like a sound wave from a buried speaker. Your blood goes still. You glance up. The church bell hasn't rung in decades. You were told it was cracked clean through, its rope long gone, the mount rusted shut. But there it is, swinging gently in the dark sky. One strike, then another, 12 total, and then silence, the kind that feels vacuum sealed. You step out onto the gravel, now crunching louder than before, like it's warning something underground that you're coming. The chapel remains behind you, its missing doors yawning wide. You don't look back at it. Instead, your flashlight cuts across the overgrown edge of the town where the trees thicken and the remnants of mining structures begin. Old scaffolding, a rusted pulley crane, the kind of industrial relics that look like bones when half swallowed by vines. You follow a broken path downhill where the earth gives way to a large clearing. The air changes here, heavier, a little warmer somehow, and there's a smell, not rot, not sulfur. Just copper, like pennies left in a wet pocket. The flashlight beam lands on something unexpected, a set of worn steps carved directly into stone leading downward toward a shallow pit. You follow them slowly. You count each step. 7, always 7. Folklore loves that number. At the bottom you find it, a building, or at least it used to be. Low and rectangular, barely taller than you. Stone walls, partially caved in, with thick metal doors thrown open like they were blown apart. The sign above the frame is barely legible. Dynamite storage, authorized personnel only. You reach for your radio instinctively. Nothing but static. This place wasn't on your assignment map. You hesitate at the threshold. The doorway is pitch black. You shine your flashlight inside. What you see doesn't make sense. The walls are covered in carvings. Thousands of them, etched into the stone like someone took their time, centuries of time. Symbols, eyes, circles, human shapes with no faces. They twist and spiral toward the floor where something else waits. A circle, perfectly formed, maybe 10 feet across. Unlike the rest of the crude carvings, this one is precise, geometric. At each edge there's a sigil. Some you recognize from textbooks on ancient writing systems, Etruscan maybe. Others are just nonsense, or worse, things that almost look like letters you know but not quite, and in the very center, your patrol number, spray painted in white with a fresh drip still sliding down the final digit. You step back like you've been slapped, then lean in again. It's definitely your number. You didn't tell anyone you'd be here tonight. Your route was assigned just 3 hours before shift. You didn't even want to come. You were covering for a colleague who called out sick. You were a late replacement, which means someone, or something, has been expecting you. You take a shaky breath and suddenly remember something one of the old retirees at your precinct once said during a farewell barbecue. He was half drunk and chewing on cold ribs when he leaned in and muttered, "Mining towns, they don't go empty, they go fed. Once the mouth's full, it rests a while." Back then you laughed. You're not laughing now. You snap a photo of the circle. The screen on your phone shows only black. You take another, still black. You switch to video. The camera app refuses to open. The phone gets warm, then hot. You drop it. Hard, it doesn't break, but it shuts off. Experts still wonder whether certain stone formations, especially those found deep in long-abandoned mines, can amplify low-frequency vibrations, creating natural resonant chambers that interfere with electronics and human perception alike. You back out of the building and up the steps. You can feel your legs wanting to run, but you don't. Not yet. As you reach the top, you pause. Your cruiser is just visible between the trees. Someone is sitting in it. You raise your flashlight. Empty. You blink. Someone is standing behind it now, then gone. You don't breathe. You just move back to the cruiser, back into the seat. Back into your world of ignition switches and dashboard lights and radios that should work. But the dashboard doesn't come on. Instead, the radio does. Unprompted, the tape player whirs, then clicks, then begins to play something new. A voice, yours. Your hand hovers over the eject button, trembling just enough to notice. But you don't press it, not yet. The voice, your voice, keeps screaming through the cruiser's speakers. It's distorted, layered with static like someone recorded it underwater. And it's not just a single cry. It loops, over and over. The same guttural wail, rising into a choked gasp, then repeating. You've never screamed like that, not even in your worst dreams. Your finger finally presses the button. Nothing happens. The tape keeps playing. You flick the radio off. The sound continues. There's no power light, no tape icon, just your voice coming from nowhere or everywhere. And that's when you see the footprints. They're back. Dusty impressions leading from the front of the cruiser, wrapping around the passenger side and stopping at the back door. But now there's more. A second set. Bare feet. Smaller, narrower, pressed just beside your own earlier steps. You open the door. The screaming cuts off instantly. Silence slams into you like a wave. You look up at the night sky. It's the same, but subtly wrong. No stars, not even cloud cover. Just an empty black, like something turned off the cosmos. The kind of darkness that feels deeper than distance. You turn your flashlight on the ground. The footprints are clearer now, more distinct. And they're circling perfectly around the cruiser. Once, then twice. They stop behind the driver's side door. You know better than to check behind you, but of course you do. Nothing there, yet. You kneel down and touch the print. It's dry, cool, but there's a faint pulse beneath your fingers like the earth is breathing through the tracks. You whisper into the air, "Who's there?" No response, except something changes, the wind. It picks up suddenly, sharply, rushing past your ears like whispered words spoken too fast to catch. And with it, the town shifts, not physically, but in feeling. The roads look just a little straighter. The chapel's steeple isn't collapsed anymore, and the post office light is on, flickering dimly like a flame that's not sure if it wants to die or burn everything down. You blink hard. It's not possible. You walk toward it. The door creaks open without resistance. Inside, dust coats everything except for one patch of counter, clean, recently wiped. A stack of yellowed envelopes sits neatly there, and on top a clipboard with your name. Officer 34, arrival confirmed. Beneath that, a list. The first entry is your name. The second, Officer 34, completion pending. There's a line for a signature, yours, but the ink is already there. A perfect match. You never wrote it. You stumble back out, gasping for air. The wind has died. The buildings have reverted, twisted again, leaning and sagging. The light's out now, as if it never existed. As if you stepped into a layer of memory that wasn't yours. It's hard to stand. Your knees feel heavy, your ears ring, and your flashlight dims, not flickers, dims, like something is draining it. You think of the term you once heard in an old case report. Residual imprint phenomena. The idea that intense events, tragedies, rituals, mass disappearances can somehow record themselves into the landscape. Not ghosts, not spirits, just replays, but this isn't a replay. This is a response. You return to the cruiser not knowing where else to go, but as you near it, you see something waiting in the dust. A drawing. Someone has dragged a stick or a finger in the dirt, sketching a crude shape. It's a spiral, just like the one you saw in the church pews, except this one is made of symbols. Little stick figures all facing inward. And in the center, a single shape drawn darker over and over. A police badge. You can feel your pulse behind your eyes now. You sit in the driver's seat again, breathing shallow. You check your watch. It's stopped. 3:14 a.m. exactly. You tap it. Nothing. You turn the key in the ignition. The engine turns over. The radio comes back to life. Static again. Then a voice, not yours, deeper, older, tired. Unit 34, it's time to finish the route. Then silence. You check the rearview mirror instinctively. And this time the reflection doesn't smile, it shakes its head. No, it mouths something. You lean closer. The lips move slowly, deliberately. Don't go back, you blink. And the mirror is empty, not blank, empty. No reflection at all. Experts still wonder whether deep exposure to mirror deprivation, where individuals go extended periods without seeing their own reflections, can trigger dissociative effects. But no one really talks about the inverse, seeing a reflection that's too aware. You try the GPS one more time. It boots up, painfully slow. The map loads, but it's wrong. Every town around Salt Haven is gone. Only one name remains on the screen, your own. As the name of a town, population, you stare at the screen until your eyes blur. There it is, your own name, neatly typed in capital letters, nestled where Salt Haven should be. A hollow ache pools in your chest. Population, one the implication gnaws at you. You tap the screen, nothing, you zoom out. The map glitches. Roads stutter and loop on themselves. Rivers cut across highways that never existed. The nearby towns flicker, their names scrambling into gibberish except yours. That label stays locked in place, like a signature someone burned into the code. You power the system off. Your reflection in the dark screen stares back, this time with perfect synchronization. But there's a weight behind your eyes that wasn't there before. You step out of the cruiser and head toward the mine entrance. The closer you get, the more the earth seems to pull at you. Gravity feels inconsistent. Your steps land heavier, like you're being nudged forward by something that can't be seen. Like the land wants you to enter. You reach the old shaft, barely visible in the overgrowth. The entrance is partially sealed with rusted iron bars. A faded sign leans against one post. Danger, collapse, risk, do not enter. It's rotting away, the warning smudged and useless. You squeeze through. The air changes instantly. Cooler, wet, like someone's been breathing in the dark here for far too long. The shaft descends at an angle just steep enough to force a careful shuffle. Your flashlight beam dances ahead, illuminating fractured timber supports and a trail of pebbles that skitter behind you with every step. You pause, because there it is again. Voices, muffled, just around the bend. You crouch low and press yourself against the wall. Your radio's dead. Your phone's a brick. You have your flashlight and your badge, and apparently you have company. You inch forward. The tunnel widens into a hollowed chamber, low ceiling supported by bent beams that look more decorative than structural now. And inside, standing still as tombstones, are 4 figures. Miners. Or at least they look like miners. Shadows in oil-slick coveralls, helmets perched, faces cast down. Not moving, not breathing. Your light rests on the nearest figure. The helmet is shattered, caved in on one side like a crushed egg. There's no blood, just darkness inside, darker than shadow. You whisper, "Hello." One of the figures turns. It doesn't walk, doesn't shift. It just appears turned, no face. Just a deep, smooth curve where features should be. Like a doll left in the sun too long, you step back. Another turns, then another, and they begin to speak. Not in English, not anything you recognize. Low, droning syllables that feel more like a chant than speech. It shouldn't sound familiar, but it does. You've heard it before, on the tape, beneath the screen. You try to back away, but the tunnel behind you has changed. It curves now. Impossible geometry. You glance down and realize the floor is shifting beneath you ever so slightly. Like the tunnel is moving, rearranging. The chanting gets louder. You shine your light on the wall and see new carvings. Fresh, wet, even. They depict a figure in uniform, clearly a police officer, surrounded by spiral symbols. Beneath the drawing, in careful block letters, "The Miner King takes what returns." You don't remember drawing it, but the ink is on your fingers. The flashlight flickers, then dies. Darkness folds in, thick as velvet. You can't see your hands, your boots, the tunnel walls. The chanting stops. Silence. Then something new, a faint metallic creak like a lantern being lifted. Light blooms ahead, a flickering yellow orb, not yours. It hovers, waits. You move toward it, slowly, and it retreats. You move again. It pulls further back, always just out of reach. You know this trick, it's the Lantern Watcher. A lesser-known Appalachian legend, but one that's made its way into a few dusty books. Miners spoke of it as an omen, an orb of light that mimicked rescue, only to lead the lost deeper underground. Those who followed it were never seen again, though some say their footsteps return. You stop. Let it flicker. It drifts to the side now, circling you, not fleeing. It's no longer pretending to be a rescue. It's watching. You hold still, and from behind you, bare feet, walking slowly. One step at a time, you turn. No one. But on the ground, wet prints. Bare soles, narrow toes, fresh, still glistening. They end right beside you, but nothing stands there, yet you feel it. Breathing. Right against your ear. Experts still debate whether acoustic hallucinations caused by spatial resonance in old mines can simulate breath-like vibrations, but none have accounted for the feeling of moist exhale on the skin. You bolt, running now, not caring which way is out. The tunnel laughs behind you, echoing groans as if the very mind resents your escape. You trip on a route that shouldn't be there. Catch yourself, push forward. Finally, you see it, a slice of open air. You burst out of the shaft, stumbling into moonlight, gasping. You don't look back, not yet. Instead, you kneel in the dirt and try to steady your breath. You've made it out. You're alone. You don't get up right away. Kneeling there on that patch of brittle earth just outside the collapsed mine shaft, you keep your eyes closed and your palms pressed to the dirt, half hoping the steady contact with solid ground will re-anchor you to reality. Eventually, you rise. The sky above still shows no stars. No moon, just a deep, blank expanse like the universe itself has turned away. And in the dark distance, faint, flickering, persistent, that light returns. The lantern. Only this time it doesn't hover, it stands. Someone's holding it. You squint, stepping forward. The figure isn't moving. Just waiting, lantern gently swaying like it's caught in a non-existent breeze. You instinctively reach for your flashlight, remember it died in the tunnel, and curse softly under your breath. There's nothing to do now but walk toward it. Each step feels harder than the last, not physically, emotionally. Like your body knows this is a line you shouldn't cross, but you do. Of course you do, you're police. You're trained for dark corners and strange noises and answering calls no one else wants to. It's what you tell yourself. Even if your legs tremble, even if your breath's too shallow, the figure comes into focus as you approach. It's a man, tall but gaunt. Skin like old parchment drawn too tight over bone. His eyes are closed, though you feel them anyway. The lantern hangs from a hook in his hand, casting an upward glow that exaggerates every sharp angle of his face. His uniform is ancient, salt-stained, threadbare, though the badge glints with surprising clarity. Salt Haven Mining Security. You whisper, "Sir." No response. You shift slightly, trying to see his eyes, still shut. Lips pressed in a thin, hard line. Then slowly his free hand lifts, not to greet, not to warn, but to point. Behind you, you hesitate, turn, and see it. A wide clearing just beyond the edge of the mining road. One you hadn't noticed before, not hidden, absent, but now revealed. The trees curve around it, forming a natural amphitheater. And in the center, arranged with precision only obsession allows, are chairs. Dozens of them, all identical. All facing inward, forming a perfect circle. And in each chair, a figure, still, upright, watching, except they are, because they have no eyes, hoods cover their heads but loosely, enough to see the sockets beneath hollow, smooth like the faces were never meant to see. Some wear tattered miners' uniforms. Others are dressed in more recent clothing, an old sheriff's vest here, a postal jacket there. You count them. 12. No, 13. Wait, 14. And a 15th chair is empty. Your skin crawls. You turn to speak to the lantern holder, but he's gone. The light sits alone in the dirt, burning softly. You approach the circle slowly, drawn in by gravity you don't understand. You reach the outer ring and stop. The hooded figures remain unmoving, unbreathing, yet you feel watched. You step closer. A low hum begins, not from them, from below. The ground pulses, slow, deep, rhythmic, like a heartbeat shared by the soil itself. You take another step, and every figure turns its head in unison, not fast, not sudden, just aligned, toward the empty chair, then toward you. One by one, still faceless, still eyeless, yet you feel it. Your throat dries instantly. You try to speak, but no sound comes. And then the humming grows louder. Each figure begins to sway gently, as if caught in an invisible tide. Forward, back, inhale, exhale, they're breathing, not through lungs, through the air itself. The entire grove is inhaling and exhaling like it's alive. Your mind races. You recall something obscure, an old Norse belief, long discarded, that spirits of those who died underground cannot leave unless someone above replaces them. A ritual of stillness, of echo, of breath. Maybe it's folklore, maybe it's prophecy. But that 15th chair, it's waiting, and the humming, it's now in sync with your heartbeat. Experts still debate whether certain locations, specifically those with tragic industrial histories, can develop echo rituals, patterns of energy that repeat like muscle memory, seeking a missing piece. You know what's expected, but you refuse to sit. You back away. The humming stutters, a disruption. One of the hooded figures shudders violently. Another emits a dry, rattling moan. The lantern flares suddenly behind you, bright as lightning, and the sky, for the briefest second, stars. A full night sky blinks into existence above, but something's wrong. The constellations don't match. Orion is sideways, the Big Dipper points down, and in the center a swirling hole of darkness. No stars, no moon, just an opening like an eye, watching. The hooded figures rise all at once. No sound. No warning. The chairs collapse behind them into dust. They begin to approach. You run, you don't plan it, your legs do it for you. You bolt back toward the road, back toward your cruiser, breath tearing from your chest in ragged gasps. You don't hear footsteps, but you feel them. The ground vibrates as if with each of their steps. You reach the car. The headlights turn on by themselves. You yank the door open, throw yourself in, and lock it. They stop at the tree line. All of them, just watching, still eyeless, still seeing. You slam the vehicle into reverse. The wheels spin in the dirt, then grip. You drive without looking back. For You don't stop driving, not until the trees thin out and the last crumbling edge of Salt Haven disappears in your mirrors. Even then, you're not convinced you've left. The road feels endless, too straight, too smooth for a town that chewed through asphalt and memory like that. But eventually, a clearing. You spot a familiar structure, the town hall, except it's different now, lit from within. Its windows glow a soft amber, warm and inviting, the kind of lighting used in cozy cabins, not government buildings in ghost towns. You pull over automatically, engine running, heart rattling. You know this is a mistake, but you step out anyway, because you have to know. Inside, it smells like old paper and pine cleaner. The air is stale but not dusty, like someone's been keeping it ready. Filing cabinets line the walls, drawers labeled in handwritten cursive. A single desk lamp is turned on, casting an oval of light onto a wide ledger. You approach, and there it is, your name, neatly written, dead center on the open page. 34, officer on duty, arrived. 11:27 p.m. You check the line below. Accepted 12:00 a.m. And beneath that, one last entry. Confirmed 3:14 a.m. The exact moment your watch stopped, you slowly turn the page. A new column awaits. Completion, time of integration. The line is blank for now. Your eyes drift to the shelves behind the desk. Dozens of manila folders sit in perfect rows, each labeled with a number. Some yellowed, others crisp. You pull one. 27, Officer Riley Tran. You recognize the name. She disappeared in 2002. Patrol car found empty on the outskirts of an abandoned mill town. You remember the story. The search party found her flashlight 10 miles from the vehicle, still on. The batteries never died. You open the folder. Inside, a copy of her personnel file, a photo and a drawing, a spiral, with her badge number in the center, just like yours. You open another. 29, Officer Kenneth Ward. He went missing in 2013. Same story, solo night patrol, vanished without trace. Same spiral, same handwriting. You pull the last folder, no label. Inside, a blank sheet until you touch it. Then ink blooms across the page, wet and shivering. It draws your face in perfect detail, and beneath it, you have always been here. You drop the folder, the desk lamp flickers, then brightens, then flickers again, and then the drawers start opening, all of them. One by one they slide out slowly, some creaking, some silent. Inside, more folders, more names, some familiar, most not. Each ending in a spiral, each name a ghost on a payroll no one remembers. And then your folder begins to write itself. You don't move. Just watch as lines appear on the page. Assigned duties, presence, repetition, alignment. Special designation, witness. Next patrol, infinity. That symbol doesn't sit well with your stomach. You hear a sound behind you. Not loud, just deliberate, the creak of floorboards. You turn slowly. Someone stands in the hall's doorway. A man, in uniform, but not yours, not from your time. He's wearing a mining company's badge. You remember the ghost with the lantern. This isn't him. This one has eyes, except they're wrong, too wide, too reflective, like the shine on deep water right before something breaks the surface. He raises one hand, holds out a census clipboard. At the top, updated residents, Salt Haven Township. Beneath it, Officer Riley Tran, Officer Kenneth Ward. Redacted. Redacted. But your name. The man doesn't speak, just waits. You don't take the clipboard. Instead, you look past him, to the window. It's still glowing. The warm, amber light of belonging, of surrender. You turn back to the ledger. Your reflection stares up from the polished surface of the desk. It smiles. You do not. You run. Outside, the street is empty again. No lights. No motion, no sky, just black. You climb into the cruiser, lock the doors, slam it into gear, but the road is gone, replaced with gravel, then dirt, then stone. The town hall fades behind you. The map on the dashboard, still your name, now with one update. Population 2. Experts still wonder whether entire locations can shift into sentient constructs, preserving patterns, rewriting visitors as participants, trapping memories like fossils in amber. You don't stop driving, not until you reach the edge of town, where a sign waits, new, clean, nailed into fresh wood. Welcome to Salt Haven. And beneath it, in crisp white letters, formerly known as your full name. The sign doesn't blink, doesn't fade, doesn't vanish when you rub your eyes. It stays. Your name first, middle, last, etched beneath the words formerly known as, like a grave marker pretending to be a welcome. You stare at it for a moment too long until the letters begin to dance in the corners of your vision. You blink hard and look away. You throw the car into reverse. The wheels spin. You glance down. You're not on gravel anymore. You're on tracks, railroad tracks, old, rusted. You didn't see them a moment ago, but they're here now, slicing through the dirt like veins. They curve off to the left, straight into the tree line where the underbrush parts in a perfect arc. You glance back at the sign. Now there's a second line. Departure is circular. The phrase means nothing until you realize what it implies. You can leave, but only by returning. Your throat tightens. You shift into drive and follow the tracks. Maybe, just maybe, you can loop your way out. Break the pattern by playing into it. Beat the system with its own rules. But as you drive, a sound joins you. Thump, soft, repetitive, faintly wet. At first you think it's something with the car, a flat. You roll down the window, lean out slightly. Thump, still there. You slow down, open the door, and step out. Silence. Then it comes again. From inside the cruiser, you walk around to the passenger side. Nothing on the seat, but the sound returns. You open the rear door, and your flashlight, dead for hours, flicks on in your belt by itself. Its beam hits the seat. There, a heartbeat. Not a literal one, but a thudding pulse in the fabric. The cushion rising and falling as if someone invisible were lying there, breathing. You reach down slowly, press your hand against the seat. Warm. Rhythmic, alive. And when you pull your hand back, your palm is coated in salt, crystalline, sharp, glittering. You stare at it, and the flashlight shuts off again. You close the door slowly. The air is wrong now, thick, like the humidity in a cave, but worse, like you're being breathed upon by something older than language. You keep driving, the trees thicken, the tracks narrow, your headlights dim as though they're being swallowed. And then something pulses across your dashboard, your flashlight's thudding rhythm. You realize the thumps were never in the seat, they were in you, your heartbeat. And it's no longer syncing with your own body, it's syncing with the town. The realization stops you cold. You shut the engine off, silence, until the dash lights flicker. And every single warning light, check engine, oil, battery, tire pressure, flashes in rhythm. 1, 2, pause. 1, 2. You watch it frozen, it's the same cadence you heard in the church. The same flicker from your flashlight. The same pulse beneath the tracks. A hidden metronome beating through everything here. It's a ritual and it's accelerating. You look up and see them again. Figures between the trees, just silhouettes. Watching, still, motionless. But with each blink they're closer, not walking, not shifting, jumping. From spot to spot like flipbook animation. Your headlights flare once, then go black. The car dies. You fumble with the ignition, breath catching in your throat. Nothing, you try again, click again, click. And then the radio turns on. No static this time, just a voice. Low, wet, familiar, yours, time to take your place. The rearview mirror begins to fog. You glance into it. Someone sits in your back seat, head lowered, breathing slow. Deliberate, you whip around, empty. You turn back. The mirror still shows them. This version of you grins and mouths something. We need to finish what they started. Experts still puzzle over cases involving mirrored hallucinations and dissociative doubles, psychological projections brought on by prolonged sensory isolation. But few dare suggest they might be invitations. The rear view begins to frost over. But instead of ice crystals, symbols appear. Spirals, eyes, your badge number. You wipe it furiously, but the frost reforms instantly like it's etching itself from inside the glass. The cruiser vibrates once, then stills. The radio voice repeats, "Come to the circle." You step out, not because you want to, but because you can't do anything else. It's not fear anymore. It's momentum. You walk off the tracks into the clearing just beyond. There, arranged in perfect shape again, are the chairs, back, whole, waiting. And the 15th is still empty, but not for long. You stand at the edge of the clearing again, your boots rooted in the earth like they've grown there, like they belong there. The chairs are exactly as before, identical, evenly spaced, arranged in that unwavering spiral. Each one is occupied except for yours. The hooded figures sit motionless, eyeless, but aware. You feel their attention, not heat, not pressure, weight. As though their collective gaze, despite lacking eyes, bends the very air toward your center. The 15th chair calls to you like a whisper you don't remember hearing but still recognize. You take a step forward, and the ground answers. A low, hollow tone, gong-like, not from metal, from the earth. A resonance that seems to rise through your bones. It doesn't hurt, but it vibrates somewhere deep, beneath your ribs, your lungs, maybe even your thoughts. One of the figures raises its hand. Its hood falls back. The face underneath isn't decayed or disfigured. It's smooth, blank, like a mask made of skin. But at its center, right where the forehead should crease, is a symbol. A circle with 3 spikes branching out like a crown or a mine shaft viewed from above. And beneath that, your own badge number is carved into the skin. You stagger back, but the chair is closer now. You didn't move, but it did. It's right behind you, waiting. You whirl around, empty, but the seat is warm, still indented as if someone had just stood up to let you take their place. You know the rule, don't sit. Whatever happens, don't sit. But a sound stops you. The bell, that damn church bell. It rings again. Once. Only once. But the single tone doesn't fade. It stretches, longer than any bell should ring. It hums through the air, growing higher, tighter, until it becomes unbearable. You drop to your knees, hands over your ears, teeth clenched against the pressure in your skull. It's not sound anymore, it's presence. And then silence. You look up. The sky has changed again. No longer black. Now a deep crimson, like the last moment of sunset, but stuck there. Timeless. The hooded figures have stood, all of them. And they're facing outward now, toward the trees, toward the mine. You follow their gaze and you see it. The chapel, not ruined, restored, whole. Its steeple rebuilt, doors back on their hinges, the cracked bell gleaming as if newly cast, and it's glowing. Pale golden light streams through the stained glass windows, now restored as well, each one depicting something strange. Not saints. Not miners, but you. 15 scenes, 15 moments, all of them you, in different uniforms, different decades, all staring out from behind red glass eyes. You stumble backward and your foot touches the chair. Instantly everything stops. Stillness wraps around you like plastic. The bell cuts off mid-vibration. The figures freeze. The chapel light dims. Your own breath sounds like it's echoing from 100 miles away. And in that silence you hear it, a deep voice, impossible, a voice made of shale and gravity. Sit or be followed. You turn, and in the space where your chair stood, there is now a shadow. Not cast by anything, just there, standing upright, perfectly shaped like you, arms at its sides, head tilted slightly. No face, just your outline, darker than the night. And it steps forward. You run back through the clearing, through the trees. The hooded figures don't follow. They don't need to, but the shadow does. You glance behind you. It mimics every movement half a second late, like your reflection from the mirror earlier, except it's gaining. You sprint toward the chapel. It's close now, too close. You hit the steps, the doors swing open. Inside, the same spiral pews, same pulpit, same impossible glow. But now there's something on the pulpit, a book, leather-bound, wide open. And on the open page, your name, written neatly in red ink, below it. Assignment, lantern. You reach for it. The moment your fingers touch the page, everything stops, not like freezing, like a held breath. The chapel vanishes, the air evaporates. You're nowhere, floating, weightless, surrounded by a sound like metal scraping bone, faint, rhythmic, eternal, and a whisper from all sides. Witness, remember, return. You blink. You're back in your cruiser, engine off, dashboard blank. The clock reads 11:26 p.m., 1 minute before it all began. Outside, the town looks just as it did when you arrived, crumbling, silent, Normal, you check your body, still wearing your gear, your flashlight fully charged, radio, static-free, GPS, working, you exhale, a dream, a hallucination. You tap the dash to reassure yourself. And then you see it, a badge, not yours. One from Salt Haven Mining Security, rusty, but on the back scratched in with something sharp. The next lantern walks at midnight. Experts still wonder whether time loops can imprint themselves on places of trauma, whether memory can become physical, rewinding over and over until the pattern is complete. You reach for your logbook, and the last entry reads, "Patrol complete, integration pending." And beneath that, your handwriting. "I'm still watching." You slam the logbook shut. It's not possible. You've always been meticulous with your records, every initial, every timestamp, every coffee stain accounted for. And yet there's your handwriting where you haven't written, or maybe where you already have. You toss the logbook into the passenger seat like it might bite you. The cruiser is still, too still. You tap the horn, nothing. The engine's off again. The keys are in the ignition, turned to accessory. You didn't do that. You reach for them to start the car. The moment your fingers touch metal, thunk, the sound echoes from the backseat. You freeze, that sound again, like a boot dropped gently to the floor. You twist slowly, hand inching toward your holster. Not that a weapon would mean anything in a place like this. Backseat, empty, except the seatbelt is fastened, not hanging, not clipped loose, buckled. You didn't do that. You stare at it for too long, then unbuckle it, slowly. The belt zips back into its slot with a sharp snap, and that's when your flashlight, still on your belt, flickers, not dead, not drained, but in rhythm again. 1-2, pause, 1-2, you check your watch. 11:59 p.m. again. No matter how many times you leave this car, the world resets to this moment. The town isn't just looping in time, it's looping you. You open the door and step out. You have to break the cycle, back down the road, past the tracks, past the general store. Every building now seems slightly cleaner, more preserved, the angles straighter, the doors newer. Even the gas station sign glows faintly in the distance, like something is rebuilding itself with each loop. You walk faster, you reach the mining office. The door's wide open. Inside, fresh footprints in the dust, yours leading to the desk. The same ledger is there, open. This time it has a new column. Pass the test. Next to your name, a simple handwritten word, maybe. You close the book, but something shifts behind the desk. A cabinet drawer inches open. You step around slowly, and inside is a box, cardboard, labeled in faded marker, Personal Effects Officer 27. Riley Tran. You pull it out. Inside, her badge, her nameplate, a half-burnt notebook, and a cassette tape, identical to yours, but this one's labeled in black marker. Do not play after midnight. You look up. The wall clock ticks to 12:00. You don't play it. Instead, you pocket it and leave. Outside, the temperature drops noticeably. You see your breath now curling in the air like cigarette smoke. And the sky, crimson again. The spiral returns. On the pavement, drawn in thick salt, your name once again at its center. But there's something new, footprints, multiple sets, all leading into the spiral, none coming out. The center pulses faintly like heat rising from asphalt. You step back, but your own boots make no sound. The gravel beneath you no longer crunches. Your steps no longer echo. You crouch, brush your fingers over the ground, solid, but silent. The town has taken your sound. Experts still debate the psychological effects of anhedonic acoustics when natural echo and ambient noise vanish. But no theory explains this silence swallowing only you. You sprint back to the cruiser, start it. It roars to life. Radio, on. GPS, online. But every map still shows only one location. Your name and now. Population, 3. You drive, hard, faster than before. The edge of town approaches. You pass the Welcome to Salt Haven sign. Still etched with your name, you don't stop. The wheels scream as you tear past the sign. And then white, blinding white, like driving into a fog of pure static. Your ears pop, your eyes burn, you scream. The car jerks violently. You're airborne for a second, then darkness, stillness, you blink awake. The sun is rising, birdsong, trees, distant roads, normal. You're slumped over the wheel, heartbeat rapid, shirt drenched, but you're out. The town is gone. Behind you only woods, no buildings, no tracks, no chapel. You look down, your watch ticks normally. 12:04 a.m. You survived or escaped, or maybe. You were released. The cruiser radio crackles, dispatch, real, clear. Unit 34 confirmed status. You vanished off GPS for 90 minutes. 90, you fumble for the mic, your voice cracks. I'm here. I'm fine, patrol completed, returning to base. A pause then. Copy that. Don't forget to drop your incident tape. You glance down. The cassette from Officer Tran still rests in your lap, unplayed. Your fingers tighten around it. You're not sure if you're going to file this report, because deep down something tells you. This wasn't your last patrol, not even You keep the engine running, watching the sun rise like it owes you an explanation. The cassette in your lap stares up at you, lifeless and ominous. Do not play after midnight, the label says. But midnight's passed, hasn't it? You squint at the sky, still tinged with crimson along the edges like a wound just starting to scab. You slip the tape into the glove box and shut it hard. Drive. The road back feels unfamiliar, despite being the same one you came in on. It's cleaner, straighter. The trees look trimmed, the roadside gravel neater, like someone or something did some landscaping while you were inside the loop. The radio buzzes again. Dispatch. You're scheduled for a follow-up debrief with internal at 8:00. Copy. You clear your throat. It sounds raw, like you inhaled smoke in your sleep. Copy, you rasp. The voice on the other end doesn't respond right away. Then, you're not the first to come out of Salt Haven, but you're the first to remember. Silence. Your knuckles go white around the steering wheel. You don't respond. What could you say? At the next rest stop, you pull over, not because you need gas, just because. You need to breathe in air that wasn't filtered through something else's lungs. You step out into the early light. It's quiet, peaceful, and that's when you feel it, the pulse. Not in your chest this time, in the ground. You crouch and press a hand to the asphalt. There, a thump, like a heartbeat or a slow, ancient drumbeat. It's faint but familiar. 1, 2, pause, 1, 2. You close your eyes, breathe, and you hear them. The whispers, faint, layered, too many voices at once, all saying the same word. Witness. You stagger back, open your eyes. And standing by your cruiser, watching from beside the pump, is a figure, hooded, motionless. A single spiral drawn onto the chest of its coat in what looks like chalk. You don't move, but neither do they. They tilt their head, then raise a hand, not to wave, to mirror you exactly, and in their palm a symbol, your badge number. You step back, pulse pounding. The figure vanishes, gone in a blink, but in their place. Footprints bare, fresh. And in a perfect circle, you get back in the cruiser, drive again. This time you don't stop until the department's looming headquarters appears. You pull into the lot, engine hot, tires squealing slightly on the turn. Inside, the usual bustle of early shift officers and desk workers fills the air. Phones ringing, coffee machines hissing, keys clacking. Normalcy, but your presence breaks something. People look at you, too long, too knowingly. You check in at the front desk. The clerk, a woman in her 60s with a dozen cats and a brutal poker face, freezes when she sees you. Her smile fades. You were in Salt Haven, she says softly. You nod once. She slides a folder across the desk. Inside, a list, dates, names, case numbers, all labeled under the same operation code. Salt Haven Containment. You skim the list. Dozens of entries, the earliest, 1953, the most recent before you. 2019, all marked incomplete, except one now has a handwritten edit. 34 witnessing, complete subject recall sequence. Your hands go cold. You flip the page. It's a map, but not of the town, it's of you. Brain scans, EEGs, inkblot responses, all tracking patterns. Patterns shaped like spirals. Someone annotated your memories. Every room you entered. every phrase you heard, every step you took. And next to the final note, subject encountered gathering, observed seat protocol, rejected integration. You don't remember telling anyone that. You glance at the clerk, she's watching you carefully. Did you sit? She asks. You shake your head. Her shoulders drop slightly as if in relief. They don't stop calling though, she murmurs. None of them ever do. You nod, you already know. Later in the parking lot, you return to your cruiser. The glove box creaks open on its own. The cassette tape sits there, glinting faintly. But now a second one rests beside it, unlabeled, smaller. You pick it up. On the underside, a message carved in neat, delicate script. Play only when you're ready to remember what comes next. Experts still debate whether memory is something we retain or something that's reinstalled by forces outside ourselves. Some theories suggest memory isn't stored in the mind, but in the place. Salt Haven remembers you. You're still on its list. And now, you're the one holding the lantern. The second cassette is lighter than it should be, almost hollow, as if it's waiting to be filled rather than played. You turn it over in your hand, the carved phrase on its underside catching the light just enough to glow faintly. Play only when you're ready to remember what comes next. You resist the urge to throw it across the parking lot. Instead, you place it gently back into the glove box and shut it. Hard. The latch clicks shut like a lock on something sacred or dangerous. Back on the road, the sun is fully risen now, but you can't feel its warmth. The heat doesn't seem to stick to your skin. Everything's bright but sterile, as if the light hasn't quite decided whether it wants to illuminate or interrogate. Your phone buzzes. You haven't touched it since before the patrol. The screen lights up with a message from an unknown number. Witnesses are rare, return optional, integration inevitable. You try to block the number. The option disappears. You swipe up. The screen freezes. Then a new message appears. Look in the trunk. You pull over immediately, not because you want to obey, but because you have to know. Walking around to the back of the cruiser, you hesitate before popping the trunk. There's no wind, no sound, just your own breath, shallow and uneasy. The latch clicks, the lid lifts. Inside, folded neatly like it's been there all along, is a uniform, not yours. It's older, faded navy with rust-colored epaulets and an unfamiliar badge sewn directly into the chest. Salt Haven Township Patrol. On the seat beneath it, a lantern, brass, handheld, burnt at the edges. The wick is intact. It's the same one the watcher held. The same one that led you into the woods. You reach in, hands trembling, touch the handle. It's warm, not from sun exposure. It's been closed off. It feels recently held. And there's something else now inside the lantern's glass. A reflection, your face, but not now. It's you in the church, looking up from the pulpit, mouth open in mid-sentence, eyes glazed over. In the moment before the loop reset, you close the trunk, hard. Get back into the cruiser, gripping the wheel like it's an anchor. But when you look up, you're no longer parked off the highway. You're back in Salt Haven at the intersection. General store to your left, church ahead. Sky colorless, air still. The town didn't bring you back, you brought it with you. Experts still wonder if locations with enough psychic trauma become portable, carried by those who survive them, unfolding themselves again and again in cracks of reality left behind by memory. You pull away from the curb and begin to drive, again, but now something has changed. The town doesn't look like Salt Haven anymore. It's shifting. The store has your name above it now, etched in cracked wood. The church bell tower bears your badge number, 34. And the houses, each has a mailbox. Each mailbox is labeled with your handwriting. You pull over, step out, approach one of the houses. It looks exactly like the one you grew up in, right down to the crooked storm drain and half-hinged screen door. You open the mailbox. Inside, a single envelope, unsealed. You slide it out. Inside, a photo of yourself, sitting in the 15th chair. Eyes closed, smiling faintly. All the other chairs empty. You flip the photo, the back reads. Eventually, they all sit. You drop it. Wind picks up, finally, and carries the photo away like it was never solid in the first place. You step back onto the sidewalk and look around. Every house now has lights on inside. Each flickers to life as you pass. Somewhere far off, the bell begins to ring again. 12 chimes. But on the 13th, something different. A voice whispered through the wind. You've seen the spiral, now draw it. You reach for your notepad almost by instinct. Your hand moves, not by choice. The pen begins to sketch, a circle, then a line spiraling inward. Symbols follow, your badge number, the watcher's lantern, the chapel, the chair, the others, but the spiral doesn't end in the center, it keeps going. Outward again, another loop. You stop writing, but your hand keeps moving. The spiral expands across the page, the dashboard, the passenger side window. You drop the pen, but the motion continues, drawn by condensation on the glass, by cracks in the dashboard, by veins beneath your skin. You stare at your forearm. The pattern is there, etched into the skin like frostbite. The final symbol, a lantern held by a hand. Your hand, you're the light now, the guide. You drove in as a patrol officer, but you leave. No, you don't leave, you remain, and Salt Haven is You're not sure when you stop trying to escape. It wasn't a conscious decision, more like a slow unraveling. A soft hand resting on the back of your mind, turning your head just slightly, whispering. See how easy it is to stay. The spiral you drew remains etched into the window, despite wiping it over and over. It always returns. The lines may fade, but each time the glass fogs, your hand moves again without thinking, tracing the same path again and again. You stop fighting it, because now the road ahead is no longer a road at all. It's a corridor. Long, narrow wooden beams above, gas lamps on the sides. Flickering light casts your shadow ahead of you, but behind you, there's nothing. No cruiser, no trees, no town, just blackness. You keep walking. Boots echo now. Rhythmic, measured. Each step lands in harmony with a faint, distant beat, the town's heartbeat, the spiral's heartbeat, your heartbeat. A door waits at the end of the hall, heavy, carved, symbols embedded in its grain. You recognize every one of them now, not from books or reports, from memories. They've been with you far longer than Salt Haven. You just didn't know how to read them. You opened the door, no lock, no resistance, just invitation. Inside is a room lit by hundreds of lanterns, each one glowing faintly, floating, suspended midair like stars in a midnight ocean. In the center of the room, a desk, and sitting behind it is you, not a reflection, not a double, just you. Older, tired, but aware. The older you looks up, smiles. About time, he says. You don't speak. He gestures to the empty chair across from him. You sit. There's no pressure now, no fear. Just the understanding of completion. You glance around. Each lantern pulses once in greeting, a symphony of breath. The older you slide something across the table, a spiral drawn in charcoal, with a new note beneath it. Final witness. You glance up. You're the last, you ask. The older you smiles again, but softer this time. I'm the second to last. He nods at you. You don't respond, because suddenly you know. You'll be the next in the chair. Not this moment, not the next, but soon. And when you do, this version of you will vanish, like a lantern going dark. You walk around the table slowly. He doesn't move. And when you turn to look behind you, you're standing alone. The older you is gone. The desk is gone. Only the chair remains. And the spiral carved into the floor, but now it glows like something below is waking or watching. You step back, heart steady. You glance at the lanterns. One begins to drift toward you, gently, trusting. It floats to your hand and nestles in your palm like it belongs there. A voice stirs the room, everywhere, nowhere. The spiral is the map. The light is the key. The name is the town. You turn slowly. The corridor has returned. The town with it, but altered, buildings straightened, windows cleaned, porches repaired. Life returns bit by bit like a reel reversing damage frame by frame. But no people, just potential. And at the edge of the road, a new sign. You approach it, hand trembling slightly. Now entering, officer, your full name. And beneath it, witness, lantern, guide. You raise your lantern. The light flares in response. Down the road, a figure stumbles into view, uniformed, young, confused, flashlight flickering, radio broken. You know the look, you know the fear. They haven't seen the spiral yet, not clearly, but they will. You step into the shadow of a ruined doorway and wait, not to scare, to guide. Because now it's your turn to be the lantern watcher, to walk the edge, to welcome, to whisper. Experts still wonder whether places like Salt Haven are traps or sanctuaries, whether those who remain are victims or guardians. But you don't wonder anymore, you just wait. As the newest light in the figure steps closer, he's fresh. Boots too clean, uniform too crisp. The kind of officer who still writes reports in full sentences and hasn't yet learned that some towns write back. His face is young, too young for this place. He shines his flashlight down the road. It flickers, predictable. He taps it twice. You watch. He hears something, pauses, looks around. The breathing's begun. He doesn't know it yet, but you do. It always starts that way, soft, slow, sinking just beneath the surface. He adjusts his belt, tries the radio, nothing but static. The first loop begins now. He'll check the store, the chapel. He'll see the circle, always the circle. But this time he has you, the lantern watcher. You stay just far enough in the shadows to be suggestion, not figure. Your own lantern held low, light, gentle, but unwavering. You begin walking. No footsteps, no breath. But he hears you anyway. He turns toward the light. Eyes narrowing, you raise your lantern once. A greeting, not a summons, not yet. He doesn't follow. Good, that means he's cautious. The hesitant ones last longer, maybe long enough to learn, to remember. You wait near the curve of Ghost Mine Road, the chapel in view, the shaft behind, the bell above poised like a held breath. It won't ring yet, not until he opens the door. Your mind drifts. Not far, you still remember the first loop, the long silence, the voice that whispered your name from a place just behind your ear, the chair that warmed when no one had sat in it, the spiral that kept growing even after the page ended. You recall the cold touch of salt on your palm, the dust that rearranged itself, and the moment you saw yourself in the mirror shaking your head. You didn't know then, but you do now. You're the reminder. The delay, the flickering light that lets a new visitor pause just long enough to think, maybe even choose. Because not everyone who enters Salt Haven needs to be taken. Some can be taught. The idea is unorthodox. The spiral doesn't like it, but it tolerates you, for now. A soft wind stirs, you glance to the trees, they're watching, not the figures, the roots. The town itself. Salt Haven is not a ghost town, it's a body, breathing, digesting. Waiting, the spiral is its fingerprint etched across timelines and minds. You've seen it in the layout of roads, the way the chapel pews are arranged, the cracks in the window, the scars on your arms. You're not just walking the spiral now, you are the spiral, and your light is what keeps it from closing too soon. The new officer stands at the chapel steps. He hesitates, looks back, sees your light, and this time walks away, down the side path. Not toward the pulpit, not toward the chair, but toward the edge. You smile, a little, the spiral pulses once beneath your boots. Not in anger, in recognition, agreement. Tonight the town won't feed, it will remember, and that might be worse. You step back into the shadows. Another loop has begun. But this one is different, because now Salt Haven has witnesses, and witnesses leave records, they leave light. You raise the lantern once more, the glow spreading in a soft arc across the road. The cracked glass warms gently in your hand, and from the darkness the spiral hums. The chair remains empty, but watched, always watched, and now you know. What started as a routine night patrol turned into something far older than you, far bigger than any call for backup could answer. Salt Haven isn't a place marked on a map anymore. It's a memory that remembers you. You never fired a weapon, never found a body, but you saw things that refused to stay buried. The truth is, there are places in the world that operate by different rules, where time curves, breath echoes before it's taken, and mirrors lie less than memories do. Some say places like Salt Haven are cursed. Others say they're testing grounds. But those who witness never forget. You didn't sit, but you didn't leave unchanged. Now the spiral knows your name, and it writes it again every time someone else walks through those decaying gates, hears that one too long church bell, or sees a light just distant enough to follow. So if one night you're driving through unfamiliar hills and see a town that shouldn't be there, with a lantern flickering just around the bend. Remember, you were warned, you were counted, you were seen.